Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us here today. Sorry for making you get lost in the mountains. I hope you can hear me well. If not, I ask you to raise your hands. Is there anyone who is not comfortable with listening to me in English? Okay, then I would just start with sharing my screen and give you a quick introduction to what we are doing today and during the week. So welcome to the Geo.Hackmin week. Today is 1st of March, a very eventful day already for a first day in the month. My name is Victoria, and I'm working for Cividi together with Oleg, many of who you know. We are here with a small team of us, and please feel free to reach out to us anytime. I will introduce you later how to get in touch with us. So today we start our week-long hack event, where we will be discovering a lot of solutions, new thinking, and challenges, explorations around mapping and open data primarily. So please feel free to bring in your expertise, share your insights, ask for questions, reach out for support and for idea sharing. Make the most out of the networking during this week, because we tried to bring together a community of interested people on the topic, many of whom have different backgrounds in terms of organizations, in terms of age, knowledge. So just please connect with everyone and enjoy the week. A bit to tell you about what we are doing and why we are doing this, I would like to introduce cividi. We are an urban planning startup based mostly in Zurich and in the digital world. Now we are operating for over 2 years, and we are focusing on developing digital tools for urban planners, cities and municipalities. We are bringing together different type of data sources, make spatial analysis available through map-based visualizations, and advise our clients to tackle challenges. I picked a small image to represent how we perceive and operate with data. This shows on the right side of the picture different data layers, where the bottom layer represents all the open data sources that are available, that we are very much using and relying on as a first basis. And on the top, as second and third layers, what we are usually looking for is sometimes we cannot have openly accessible data sources, so then we turn to data sources that are proprietary, and we also work with crowdsourced data that little purple spots on the top would represent. So I think this is as a core philosophy that we share in the team, is very much related to the event, and that everyone's understanding how important it is to have an opportunity to work with these base data layers and understand our society better. So this is what we also try to do, as said before, focusing on the urban planning space. This is a first hack event that we as the startup organized, and we thank very much for the support from the side of swisstopo, and we work together to make this happen with them, also with open data, and being one of the pioneer startups of Micro, they also guided us through to fulfill our civic tech mission and philosophy to get to this day. We are past the schedule a little bit for today, so I will try to speed up. I will walk you through quickly on the spaces that you can use during the week. After that, I invite Raphael to give a keynote speech to us, explain a bit about today's happening on swisstopo's side, and invite you for a short Q&A with him. Afterwards, Oleg will walk you through the ideas that we so far gathered, and he will explain how to put them into challenges and how to work together with challenges. And basically at 5 o'clock, we have our official start point. However, after 5, Oleg is staying in the space and giving you a dive into the data and how to work with the tools that we prepared for you. So in terms of program, to look at it over the week, what we planned is to have a remote event with daily check-ins, which we will do in the morning as a quick input sharing, as a speedy weather check, how we feel, how we connect with each other. So please feel free to show up at 8:15 with or without coffee to meet everyone in the space. And there is another official checkpoint in the afternoon, so 4 o'clock, a coffee break and the speaker's corner that Oleg briefly mentioned. You will have the chance to grab one of the speaker's corner spot and give an input about your work, either inside or during or outside of the hack event. So please feel free to share here insights that you think is valuable for the team, and interact as much as possible in the form of Q&As. We will follow on with this format until Friday, and Saturday is our last day together, where we will have a bit longer session in the afternoon. We will have other keynote speeches there, and we will let you present actually, so we will present the results of your challenges and efforts across the week. We will use the space during the week to connect. As you see, there is a main area, there is a conference hall where we are currently at, and there are 6 different rooms where you can move to with smaller teams and to have exchanges more privately, so to say. You can navigate through through the space with the arrows, as Oleg explained. And if you need any help or a tutorial, please let us know and we walk you through how to use Gather to the best. In general, in every room you have interactive objects that you can reach with pressing X, and you have the opportunity to screen share and to talk to everyone in the close proximity to you. In terms of challenges, we will be using a platform called Triplet that is developed by Oleg specifically for hackathons. This is where you would land if you go for the triplet.cividi.space domain, where you see you have on the main screen all the buttons that you would need to take you to the live streaming, to virtual space, which is Gather, to practical information about how to interact during the event. We have challenges and resources here that we will constantly update, and you will update by putting in your input throughout the week. So if you haven't done so yet, please just register with your GitHub account or create an account here, and then you can already get in touch with the others in the challenge space. We also prepared, so to say, experimental space to you, which is available through sandbox.gemeindescan.ch. This is an instance that we are using in the team at cividi, and that we also tested during this year at different hackathons, where you can create data packages and visualize them on maps, as you see an example here. There is a how-to tutorial on the platform, and we are also very happy to walk you through how to use this instance and visualize your results in a colorful and map-based way. As you have been possibly writing challenges up during the week, you know that we have stored these in the form of a GitHub discussion. So Oleg will later show us through what the results of these are and how we turn these ideas into actual challenges and organize them a bit. During the week, as I mentioned, you don't need to commit to this event full time. You're very welcome to, but it's not a requirement. Participation is voluntary, as well as being in the space where we are sometimes recording and communicating about. So if you don't feel comfortable with it, please let us know, or just simply turn off your cameras. We will be talking mainly in English on the main check-ins. However, please feel free to speak a language that you are most comfortable in, let it be German or Swiss German, maybe even French. Just make sure that if you are talking to a group of people, everyone understands or has a way to understand you. If you have any questions, please reach out via email or in the Gather chat to us. Oleg or me will be mostly around all of the time. And you can follow us on the livestream channel or on social media under the Geo.Hackmin tag. Mainly, we will be posting on Twitter, and feel free to use this tag as well yourselves if you would like to communicate or link anywhere. So I would go back to our agenda, and I would hand over the word to Raphael. Raphael, please enter the stage.
So I think I'm on the stage. Is that right? Okay, good. So I'm going to make the so-called keynote, but it's not really a keynote. You will see. So hello to everybody. Do you hear me all? It's okay. Yes. Okay. So my name is Raphael. I work for swisstopo, and I'm very happy to be here. So this morning we had a media conference with our Viola Amert, our federal councillor, and she officially launched the opening of the swisstopo data. And just a few hours later, we are gathering here to start working with those freshly opened data. So first, I'd like to thank cividi for organizing these events. Thanks Oleg and Victoria and the other staff. And of course, I'd like to thank all of you for your interest in swisstopo data and services provided by swisstopo. So we really hope that you will enjoy working with them and make interesting project or later business out of it. So what I'm going to do is to show you what kind of data we have and how to access to the data. And we'll get some information about the terms of use, and that will be. So I'll primarily talk about swisstopo geodata, but you will get access also to data from other federal bodies, and you are welcome to use it. As you know, swisstopo is producing data, but also distributing data for the whole federal administration. So what I did, so I can share my screen now. Okay. I think you should see my screen now. Okay, so what I did, I put under resources here a link to a slide where you have different information and links to websites. So I'll go through those links, and and then if you have questions, you can ask it. So first, some links about OGD at swisstopo. So it's more why go swisstopo OGD now? What is the ID, the political motivation? So here you can replay the media conference if you want, or you can go to this website. So here you have basic information about the process, the political process, FAQs if you are interested in, and so on. So I won't go in details about that, but if you're interested, you have the information here. Then, more interesting for you, how do you access to the data? So here on the swisstopo website, you have an overview of the different kind of data we have. The first way to get the data is to download the data and have the files, if you want, the images or the elevation models. So here you can see the different kind of data we have. We have national maps, aerial imagery, I'll take it in English, landscapes models, so vector data set, so sometimes for the buildings or in 3D, for example, elevation models, different geological data, and different kind of data. So if you go to national maps, for example, let's take something very well known. So the Swiss maps 1 to 25,000, 25. You can get to the data. Here you have a description, and here you have a user interface where you can interact with this map and get some data. For example, here, let's say, okay, I want data for a granite, for example. Then you have different parameters, what format, coordinate system, variant. So let's take the classical map color with shading. You can make a search, and then you get 2 links to download. And if you download it, you will get directly the TIFF, so the picture of the map. So that's the first way to get the data. So some of the data are in tiles like this, like maps sheet or something like that, and others you will get the whole data set. It depends on the kind of data. So that's the first way to get the data. Maybe what's interesting here, for the images we are using TIFF, but we are using a so-called cloud optimized GeoTIFF. That could be interesting for some of you. So it's a way the TIFF are organized in some way that you can access to the picture through the internet, to some part of the picture. You don't have to download the whole data set. So maybe it can be interesting for some of you. Here you have some information about those cloud optimized GeoTIFF. So there is some cloud optimized GeoTIFF viewer. I think there is one called here, like this. It's something that was developed. So here, for example, if we go back to the data, let's open up this map. Here, for example, if you copy the link here, here's a viewer. You can really access directly to the data who is stored on Amazon S3, and then you can interact with the data over the internet. So the other formats like elevation models also are sometimes in a zip file, but the picture are all in a cloud optimized GeoTIFF. So that's the first way to get the data. Another more interesting for you maybe, it's the API. So the user interface we just saw is based on a download API. Here you have a general description. So it's based on a spatial temporal SS catalog. So here it's the way the data are organized to download. So you have different, you have collections, like national map 1 to 25,000 is a collection. You have items, the map number 1306 is an item, and asset is the file, the data. You have the different files and data of the picture of the map. So here you have a description about this Stack API, how you can query the data, Here you have some example, get the description of the data set, get the items, get the specific item, and so on. So if you want to make some automatisms to get the data or to query the collection, you can use the Stack API. So here it's a first description. Here you have a more technical description with the capabilities and different query you can do. And here is the general description about what is the stack, the spatial topology access catalog we are using. So that's the way you can get the data. Okay. Then another way to get the data is using web services. So we have different web services. To visualize the data, we have the web map services. So here, if you click, you will also have a description. The web map tile services, here, that's what we are using for our geo portal map.geo.admin.ch, sorry. And here you have the description, how to get those tiles. So here the data are small tiles of, and you can really ask for the data. Here you have different projection. It can be interesting. So not only the Swiss projection, but also the Google Web Mercator projection. So with those VMTS, you can really, that's what we are using for most of the data here that comes with WMTS. So a lot of data are available as VMTS. We also have, it's like pretty new. So we made a first version last year, but since today it's official available. It's vector tile services. So here you have also the description of that, how you can get to the data. So here it's not raster tiles, but as the name said, they are vector tiles that are streamed. And here we build up a new map called light-based map. So you can access to it for Switzerland and for the coverage of Switzerland. You can have access to it. And what we did for our viewer, we extended the coverage to have a global coverage. We extended the data with OpenStreetMap data and tiles provided by map tilers. But if you want to use the services, you will have free access to the Swiss part. And if you want to have access for the rest of the world, we don't provide that directly. You have to contact MapTiler or another provider. Okay, so that's where the services. Sorry. Is it still right? Okay, my screen. Here we have other web services. It's the terrain. So if you want to use the 3D terrain, it's based on Cesium. So it's if you want to implement it, you will have to use Cesium, I think. And you can really have the 3D topography of Switzerland and use it in your application. We have the terrain, and we also have some other features, vector features. We have 3D buildings. So that's what we are using for our 3D modus of map.Geo.Admin. It comes. So you really use those tiles and this 3D terrain if you want to have 3D visualization, like here. here on this web page, so api3.geo.admin.ch, you have a list of a lot of different REST services, web services you can interact with our data. So for example, with search, you can make geocoding. We also have elevation, where you can ask for the elevation of a point, or make like a profile, so you can really use this information, these services too. Okay, that was a quick overview about how to access to the data and the kind of data we have. Do you already have questions at this point? No, don't think so. So if we go back, the next point is how you can use those data. So we have terms of use for the data itself. They are here. So if you want to use the data, you can do whatever you want. The only requirement is to make a reference to the source. So that's the only requirement we have. We had some discussion in the cividi discussion, in the Geo.Hackmin hackathon, a discussion about how to make the reference, and that was for OpenStreetMap. So we will discuss with OpenStreetMap the details in which form the reference of the source has to be made. But I think for this week, it's okay. You just need to make a reference to the source if you want to publish the data. We also have terms of use for using the services. So here, the primary goal is to protect our infrastructure and to make sure that we have the cost. We have the cost in our budget is okay. So that means we put some request limits to use the services in order to make sure that not 2 or 3 users are using the whole performance of our infrastructure, and that we cannot deal with the cost. So if you want to use the infrastructure with really heavily, please contact us before doing it, and then we can see if we can find a solution. But for a normal usage, it won't be a problem, and you can really use the data, the services for free. So the aim of and then you have to read them, and if you have questions, just ask us. Okay, that was the main part of the presentation. Here, what we also have, that maybe can interest some of you, we have a software development kit for mobile. It's pretty new. So as you know, we are publishing an app called swisstopo app. And if somebody wants to make a mobile app, he can use this software development kit in order not to start from scratch, and you can easily put some swisstopo data, some maps from swisstopo in your app. So it's a version swisstopo with the swisstopo data in, and Ubiq, so who is developing the app for us, is also publishing another SDK. So the swisstopo app, the swisstopo version is based on the other one. Here another link to another SDK. It was also discussed in the chat before. You can use it from MapTiler if you want. It's more for the part of if you want to work with vector tiles. Here also some examples from some developers in the last weeks. So here we have, for example, a nice map viewer made from here you can see from Valise. So he's using the vector tiles from swisstopo and some other open data to make a nice visualization from the different Bergbahnen. Other two examples that can be interesting are leaflet integration. That's from Roman Salzer. He explained how you can, with leaflet, easily integrate swisstopo data. That's also very interesting for you. And another leaflet example here from Caravia, how to easily put some map data in your project with leaflet. So that's it. That was the overview of the data we have. So I'm done. If you have questions, just contact me. So I won't be all the week available, but some swisstopo staff will be around. David, for example, Gilbert, there is some of them, Patrick Gamma, they will help if you have questions. So have a nice week, play around with our data and services, and I'm anxious to see the results on Saturday on the Open Data Day next Saturday. So thank you, and if you have questions, maybe we have some minutes for question. So the best thing is to go through those links I posted and read it for you if you are interested. So it was pretty. I get fast through the slides. Okay, thank you.
Raphael, thanks so very much. That was really a great introduction. And as Gilbert and Ilya have been mentioning in the chat, there are links to the slides on the platform. And in fact, I just added an additional button to make it a bit easier to find. So if you just go on the home page and then go to the challenges, you'll see a button to get open data, and that's you see Raphael's links listed conveniently there as well. So yeah, I mean, this basically was the main part of our kickstart this afternoon, and you know, Raphael will hang around. I will be still here for at least another hour to answer questions and fix some of these you know, starting issues in our platform here, which I hope you're going to enjoy working with us. And I think as a fun challenge, please feel free to hack the hackathon, so to speak. So any suggestions or improvement ideas that you have for this platform we've set up for the duration of the week and beyond, if we hope to continue in the same spirit in days to come. Anyway, just shout out to me or Victoria and we'll be happy to implement them. Yeah, and the important thing is that we'll be meeting here regularly, 4 o'clock every weekday, and we'll start at 3 on Saturday for the presentations. I would suggest you spend the next moments going off and exploring into the challenge space. I'm going to just pull that up on my screen here quickly. So, as mentioned, if you go to this crazy Unicode character, probably nobody can put in, but if you just put in dripdat.cv space, you end up here, and then you can see the challenges will be developing here. So basically, the idea is that as soon as you have a team, if you know what you're working on, just you can click this button, give it a quick title, and click save, and you should be good to go. You can also just create a GitHub repository or GitLab or Bitbucket or wherever you want to work just put in the link here, and that's usually sufficient as well to get started. As far as the ideas that have been coming in, I think we've basically got clear interests from folks who want to just dig in and try to understand what is really out there. I think for many people, kind of, swisstopo is this large federal organization which does amazing work across so many topics and themes. And as we've seen from your presentation, Raphael, I mean, there are so many tools and ways of accessing it. I think one of the things we just want to understand this week is what is really in there, what is in this massive present that we've received today, and from an open data perspective, one of the kind of questions we often ask is, is the data accessible to us, over the internet, online, with standard tools. And can we actually download it in bulk and really put it into use? So I think several of these projects, whether this idea here to just mirror the data sets and use a script, for example, to just download them onto your hard disk for further processing, as well as some of the others which go into the more specific questions of particular types of data, they kind of get to the same basic idea, right? And as you can see, David here, he posted a quick intro to getting tiled, hybrid, or full data sets. And for example, if you want to make an app and you want to be able to take the data offline for a mobile user, this would be quite a practical way to do that. But also, if you just want to test the possibilities of downloading the data in bulk. Here we have also some ideas which are maybe going into the more exotic directions, things like natural language processing applications. People have been discussing ideas around the geographic names. I know there's a couple of other challenges which mention, for example, computing infrastructure. Someone raised the question, right? So if you want to work on a project which uses machine learning techniques, which needs some cloud infrastructure, or if you just want to connect with people who are experienced in that area, this is the kind of work we're doing at cividi. So we're really happy to exchange with you on this type of stuff. As I mentioned, we will try to support you if you just write us an email with or find us here. Obviously, just let us know if you're trying to do some data science. We work mostly with Python, R, and Julia environments, and QGIS and other FOSS-GIS tools we're happy to support. There's been also some questions around visualization and bootstrapping native apps or web apps. So again, there's this, I think we're representing a community which is quite experienced with various formats of development, and I think it'd be great also if we can piggyback on what Geo.Hackmin has been doing for a long time, which is providing great examples and reference documentation for people to build things, and maybe update them for a new framework that you're using. I mean, for example, open layers is something that's Geo.Hackmin swisstopo team has been using for many years. But someone on Twitter mentioned that they've created a bootstrap for Leaflet, which I'll add here to the discussion shortly. And also maybe integrating data from other sources as well. It's usually quite interesting to see, in all of these open data projects, the scenario of how well does the data speak to other data sets. So thank you here to Filippo for evaluating potentials from additional sensor data sources. There was actually in the press release conference this morning, there was one cool example of environmental data monitoring using sensor networks. So this is definitely a use case that swisstopo has experience with. Question is whether we can bring it out to the Maker community in some form. And so you can actually directly use these discussions as a forum to continue chatting about all the topics that have been proposed. And there's several kind of quite long threads here. I can see weather measurements being quite a topic of debate, as well as the question of conditions of terms of use. We're very happy to host these discussions and provide an experimental community space for them. And obviously we will do our best to amplify your ideas and prototypes that come out of here. But as this is going to get pretty messy, again, I think try to connect with the people around you. Spend the next couple of days using this gather space, which will stay up, and you can continue using it anytime, or as well as this community to try to create something, make something creative, and explore some ideas, download some data, and make something awesome out of these projects. I definitely will be doing the same, looking to push the frontiers in some small way, learn something new, and we'll be posting it here on the cividi space platform, and hopefully by the end of the week we'll have some compelling responses to this new legal historic legal step in Switzerland's open data history. What I think Victoria, I'm not sure you mentioned it at the beginning, maybe it was missed, but we will have this is an unofficial event, let's say semi-official. So kind of we'll be running the platforms on the cividi side. Folks from swisstopo will be around, to help you, as they always have. There'll be folks from the open data community, both on the government and the whatever side, and we will be quite informal. So the speakers corner is going to be, people just going to come up and present something, show you something cool they're doing with the data, and you're also very welcome to do the same. And our goal is going to be to try to make this a great event, help you, and set the scene for urban data communities to come. I can just say that from the swisstopo side, they really want us to take something home from this experience, both in an intangible way, to learn about the data on offer, the APIs and infrastructures and platforms, but also they will recognize several of the teams and make sure that every participant has something to look forward to. So make your contributions count. Don't shy away from using the opportunity to shine, and there's definitely going to be some announcements on Saturday about something to take home from this event. And yeah, so by the way, if you ask, I'm not sure how it works because I can't unmute you when I'm broadcasting, but if you want to ask me a question, feel free to get up on stage and just start talking with me. That's one way to do it, or just punch it into the chat. I wanted to share with you this blog post that we published just a few minutes ago, where we're kind of from our side sharing a little bit the story of how this event came to be, and we also a little bit like Raphael's presentation, we've kind of mentioned a few links and some examples of how to get started. One thing that I think was not maybe didn't come so clearly through in the presentation before is the role of Open Data Swiss as being the kind of holding place for a lot of the metadata of these data sets. And on the Open Data CH forum, I've posted a tutorial which you might find interesting if you want to learn a little bit of the publication process of the metadata. So as the data sets get published by the different federal institutions and cantons and so on, they get published via Geo.Hackmin on Open Data Swiss. And so we had a discussion there about the open government data strategy of Switzerland, which precipitates today's event, and a little bit more of the technology of the metadata publication. So I mean that's obviously one thing that I'm also quite keen to see happen is that the discussion around the terms of use and the actual, multilingual, high-quality access to swisstopo's data sets, which you'll find here, that they get supported through our engagement with the Open Data Portal, which is also kind of constantly working on improving the documentation and support around this. So yeah, that's all linked in that blog post from us, and yeah, I'm just keen to really dive into this. I'm really excited to see the fact, to be able to see the world beyond Switzerland's borders appear on these maps, and share the news with our international network of open data activists. So that's kind of the reason for Open Data Day this Saturday, is to connect with folks in Germany, in France, in England, in the USA. Some of them who are, working very much on parallel initiatives, and to discuss with them, what's the interest like in reusing Swiss data, and what could we learn from what they're doing. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to kind of split up now and start going into a little bit more smaller groups, or if anybody wants to stay here and ask me and the organizing team questions. Let me see if I'm going to just try to get off the stage and see what happens. Hello. You should be able to talk now. Just unmute yourself if you want to say hi. Hello. I see David there. David, do you want to say hi? Much of this is happening thanks to you, so we can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself.
Not yet.
Torben, we can't see you, but we can hear you. Maybe you want to say a few words about. There you go. About what you're planning to do this weekend.
I don't know yet, actually. I have to also myself go through the ideas. But yeah, I think David is trying to get the microphone working. I can see.
Salut, Rémi.
Hello.
What brings you to Geo.Hackmin? Hey.
Well, I was thinking about maybe something around. There was a geocoder ID, and I was thinking maybe doing something in this in this concern, because we have already a geocoder, but it's small. Well, it's quite old, and maybe we can see with this new data what we can do for a geocoding service, or geocoding, search, auto-completion, and reverse geocoding. Yeah, would be interested. But I have to also go through the whole list, because there is a lot of interesting things, and yeah, let's see more ideas.
Super. So I think that when you're talking about geocoding, you're talking about the NLP topic, right? That mentioned the location names.
Yeah, it's which number now?
I see number 19.
It's number 10? Or which one?
19, 19.
Okay.
Oh no, there's number 10.
19.
Yes.
There is 2. Okay.
There's 2 which mentioned it. Yeah. So also number 19. Our discussion. Very cool.
But well, it's a bit the idea. for example, if you go on map.geo.admin.ch, you can make a search, and with auto-completion and some kind of search would be possible to do with the kind of data that are now available, so, freely available. So it would be possible to make a geocoder with that. I guess there's also a lot of geocoder, open source geocoder, existing geocoders that we could use, and prepare data and feed a geocoder with that and see what happens. I think it would be possible, yeah.
Very cool. Does it, Jakob or Balthazar, do you guys also want to say hello and maybe share some ideas, thoughts you were planning to do?
Yes, hi.
Hey.
Yeah, okay, maybe I just start. Okay, yeah, I like to do some machine learning on the Swiss image, but I have no idea where I will end up with this. Or yeah, don't have something concrete in mind. I'm just finding interesting the one topic about counting the sprint lines, but probably it will be a little too difficult for me. But yeah, let's just see what we can do, maybe.
So you're talking about the number 16 lane count and road type from aerial imagery?
Yes, this one.
Yep, that's quite an ambitious challenge. Let's allocate some AI coding foo, and putting some putting this to use. This makes me wonder if any one of you have heard of AI Crowd.
No.
AICrowd.com is a project from the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. It's for crowdsourcing AI projects, and if I'm not mistaken, there was already a swisstopo pilot of some kind. They had something with identifying buildings on maps. Anyway, I'm pretty sure there's a community of people in Switzerland that would be pretty excited to help with projects like this. It's like with technology that's quite cutting edge. Yeah, this was a missing maps project. I'll post the link in that link count. Sorry, that was using satellite data, just global data. But yeah, there's some great starting points for this kind of analysis. Some inspiration here, so I'm just posting a link. And do you have experience in coding for some like computer vision projects, or what would be your entryway?
Yeah, I have some knowledge about the basic machine learning and deep learning, but yeah, I don't use it that much, so it's quite basic. But yeah, it's enough to get something very simple. But yeah, the road lane counts, I think this is probably it will be something much simpler, maybe some feature extraction or classification.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just interested in playing around, and since it's open now, the data, I'm like to play around with it.
Super. It's the right place to do so. Thanks, Balthazar. Jakob, do you want to share some ideas as well?
Yeah, so I think my approach is very similar, since I'm coming from a completely different background. So it's challenging for me to estimate, which is a realistic and useful project. But certainly the comment that was in the lane count ticket sounded reasonable to me. It's something like that I can wrap my head around. The pedestrian crossing detection. So I was thinking about applying some standard machine learning techniques to sort of process the area data to detect the pedestrian crossings. But it's mainly to get familiar with the data set and maybe some more applied methods than I'm usually used to.
Good. So the crosswalk, so that's still in number 16?
Yeah, exactly. So this was a comment from
Yes, I see it now. Yeah.
David.
So that was
David.
like a prior project that was using the same data or similar data?
I'm not sure. The prior project, the link that was posted there seems quite dead. So.
Well, this is from the Hochschule in Rapperswil, and I don't know if we have Stefan on the line right now, but one of the professors from that school is quite. They're in the middle of starting a semester, but they're keen to support us in some way. And if there's problems with this documentation, or if you have any questions, yeah, he's the contact listed at the bottom of the page. So
excellent.
Definitely they'd be interested in clarifying anything. Yeah. Very good. Do we have anyone here who is less computer science focused? Let's say more, just a map lover who wants to print out a bunch of things, or any wild and creative ideas in the room? I'm wondering. Maybe Tomberg has something we would never think of doing.
Hi everybody. I would just like to learn the basics about maps, if that's okay.
That's definitely okay. What do you mean by basics? What do you want to learn how to read a map or how to make a map?
How to add layers to maps. Very simple stuff. I never learned it so far. And if possible, based on OpenStreetMap or Open Data, I don't know. Also, how to show them, how to put them on GitHub in a good format, all this stuff.
Right, yeah.
Is there a good getting started somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, Raphael's presentation, if you saw at the beginning, he was kind of playing with the map viewer. And he mentioned that there's this new test map viewer. One thing that I think, a lot of times, like at cividi, we've been using this tool for years now, because it is actually so powerful when you want to just do that. If you just want to add layers to the map, if you want to start with a base beautiful swisstopo map and add additional content to it, you could do that right on that web application using its tools. So you can draw on the map, you can draw polygons or line or freeform. You can write put points and write texts, to create a map, just for your own needs. But you can also import data, and I don't know what the status is right now. I think I can import WTS, WMS, so I can import web services, or GPX and KML, which is like static files, which are typically, if you have like some kind of GPS tracker on your bike or whatever, it'll export a KML trace. You can also export KMLs from other tools like Google Earth. It also says URL import, though I'm not sure exactly what that means, URL, but yeah. So basically you can take other data sources and again embed them right on top of that map if they're available on your local machine or in that format or online as a service. And then once you have this kind of map that you've created with their tool, you can then share it with others, and again they'll just click and open the web browser and be able to interact with the layers on there. And the layers are also configurable, so you can change their transparency and tweak them a little bit. But obviously that's not quite the same as putting those layers into a GIS tool like QGIS or ArcGIS, where you can then really manipulate the shape of the symbols and so on. So that tool has its uses. And what you were mentioning in terms of publishing it on GitHub, that's that's even the next level, right? So that there you're probably designing your map with code. You're using leaflet library or Mapbox libraries to manipulate the layers using JavaScript. I mean, just a series of commands that load up the layer files. And I wonder if there's, if anyone's like, is that something that someone at swisstopo has maybe thought of, maybe making it easier to export, you know, to share your map in code form, not just embedded, at least to export the links to those layers now that they're completely open, straight out of that tool that we know and love. Don't know if Raphael or anyone else can answer that question.
Well,
Remy, we can hear you.
please go on, Gilbert. I will say something then.
Sorry, okay. Gilbert, we can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself. There you go. No. You're still muted. Sorry, Gilbert.
Oleg, we can hear everybody.
Yeah, I think Oleg, it's you.
It's just me. Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I'll reload. Hold on.
Available for all the data where the data can be consumed inside applications directly from the services. And there are REST-based services like WMTS, but we also have feature-based services, search services, etc. They all can be directly integrated. They are free to use as it is. So there are several ways to consume our data.
Who is we, and do you have a link or something to look it up?
Dave just put the link in for the JavaScript API.
Perfect.
And if you just strip down and look at the menu under this URL, you see all the other services. They are under, well, I will post the link. This is true not only for swisstopo data, but all these services work directly with all the other 800 data sets we have. They are coming from other offices as well, so there is a huge amount of data to play around. And I think also here would be interesting fields to try some hackathons, because I think the future in geodata, in geodata in general, is not on the map. I think the map will die out, but the value of geolocation data will increase, and the value of meshing the data for the information you want is very will be very important in the future. I think here are a lot of fields of explorations. One example I could give is, for example, geofencing. So when you are biking around, you don't want to know which data set you have to load to know if you're allowed to go somewhere or not, but you just want your app to advertise you. Okay, you're entering a zone where there is restricted because there is some animals that need protection, or some dangerous zones because of avalanches or something like that. You don't want to care and look for the data that you would need to know. You just want somebody to make this decision for you. And I think that's the future of geodata. I think maps will disappear in the long run.
Yeah, interesting. I'm working a lot with sensors and IoT stuff, so this is somewhat related, I think.
Fields for exploration. One dream I always have is that now the data is open, but maybe somebody will take on the task to really
use this data to feed into machine learning machines, because when we consider all the historic data we have, so the aerial images that we have in high quality and the resulting vectors out of that images, we have a huge training data set for any machine learning engine. So we have a lot of operators inside swisstopo who really digitize the aerial images, and maybe that's basically the information that any machine learning engine needs. And I think there is some potential here to really better any machine learning approach. Maybe. This will need to be analyzed, of course.
So you can extrapolate the future of Switzerland map-wise, or what?
Could be.
Yeah, and in the meantime, I think we're the comments this morning kind of also resonate with me, saying, this is taxpayer funded and should be accessible to everybody. It kind of goes hand in hand with the topic of improving data literacy, right? So swisstopo has been doing some really interesting work with maps in classrooms, and working with like tourism associations and so on to make better cartography available. I'm wondering if there's like something we can also do in the sense of making it easier for open source developers to who are who want to maybe, I think, not just work with data, but know that they're working with data in a good way, in a sensible way, to gain more confidence in the way we communicate and develop with maps is another topic. And I'm actually, I'm going to be like bringing some of our discussions to classes I participate in and teach and here in Bern, and I'm wondering if something like these guides for data visualization, which explain to you kind of some of the pitfalls and some of the choices, some of the good and bad choices you can make when trying to communicate data in certain ways. Whether there's a chance for us to bring some of the highly just top expertise out of swisstopo in terms of understanding maps and looking at with the direction they're going with their products into other fields, because I mean at a business level it makes sense, right? I mean it's the geolocation, it's the data that has maybe the value and the opportunity in terms of reaching scale. But as long as the gap between really taking these layers, as Tambert, you said earlier, and just being able to work with them and to publish them, as long as that gap is so big, as long as maps remain this communications tool of experts, that's not really it's not really a tenable situation. So I'm really quite keen to see a couple of projects which are like I said, like bootstraps or simple or compelling examples, like just easily reproducible source code that can be reused. I don't know if maybe I wonder if any one of you here have ever played with swisstopo's story maps. Do you remember those? I thought the story map project was quite good in giving us lots of really cool examples of projects you can do with maps, and it's unfortunate that stopped. I'm fortunate to have had a chance to contribute to that. So the idea of a story map is that you just you share something about your world, you use maps in some way, and that would be really cool to hack on something that was that was sharing something maybe of your personal situation, something about your local town, or some political question, right? And using maps in a terrific way, and make that example itself, really hackable and reproducible. Maybe some of you here are already working on such projects. I wonder if anyone here in Gather is already has already dug into some of these data sets and already started hacking into it. And if you want to share something about what you're doing there. I notice we have Peter, who's, I'm pretty sure, has been digging into the data quite a lot these last weeks and months. Do you want to say hello?
Yeah, I would like to say hello to everybody who is here. Nice to see you. Some of the faces are familiar. So pleasure to see you all. Yeah, we just started to dig to the other data sets that we did not have accessible until today, basically. And the machine learning was one of very exciting parts, where playing with the handmade hill shading, turning it into a synthetic data set is something what ETH is working on, and there were pretty exciting YouTube presentations and the results of the research. I was thinking also about the traditional Swiss generalization of reducing the scale of the buildings to different zoom levels. That could be also done with the machine learning if the groups of the buildings are mapped into a space which is understandable for the machine learning as an input. And that would be pretty exciting task as well. If there is somebody keen on discussing on that part, I would be very glad to talk about that. And of course, we otherwise play with the entire offline ability is suddenly something completely new. So I mentioned that on the tickets as well. The mobile application, which is offline, is something relatively straightforward, and deploying on offline servers is now suddenly possible. So that those goes into the direction where we play internally now.
Do you know which? So do you know which discussion you were commenting on?
That was the mobile app offline.
Yeah, I think I see it. Number 13, is that it? Yeah.
Yep.
So,
yeah, so
it's interesting that you have your app, and you can purchase the source code, but you can also build on top of it without the source code. Can you explain maybe how that works?
We have released all of the parts of the offline streaming with the MapLibre project. So that's a project which launched back in December, and where now engineers from Facebook and Microsoft are contributing as well. You find it at maplibre.org. And all of this is like an open source fork of Mapbox SDKs, both the native for Android and iOS, as well as the GLJS part, so the JavaScript part, and people can use it. On the Android and iOS part, the offline capability is there completely included. So if you go to the lower level, all of this is basically now available as open source, and people can include it. We have not updated all the communication channels and everything around it. The MapTeller mobile is like more an application demonstrating all the capabilities and drawing offline, and combination with other layers and other features on top of that, targeting the end users. But if you want the visualization itself and the SDKs and everything. Like if you want to build an app like this one, the entire SDK is basically MapLibre, and it's now completely available, including the offline part, which we have done in the past.
Cool. So I added just a direct link to MapLibre GL native, so people know what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, does anyone have like a viewpoint on kind of MapLibre or Mapbox versus open layers? Is there still kind of work to be done to make Swiss maps really, accessible from using MapLibre, or is it all kind of like the coordinate systems and the layers, are they all already usable?
The Mercator is available immediately. The new vector maps were coded against like Mapbox stack. So the whole styling language and the way how the map appears, even in the Geo.Admin, is done through Mapbox rendering, so through MapLibre rendering potentially. I don't know if they have switched already or not. Maybe Dave can tell. And on the custom coordinate system, that's something what is doable with wrappers and with a bit of hack around, but it may be merged into MapLibre as like a true wrapper around the rendering engine. So technically, the LV95 coordinate systems can be displayed with like Mapbox stack with hacks, but these hacks can be cleaned in a way of exposing them to the API, and that's something what may end up on the roadmap of MapLibre itself as a project, but it's not done yet. So you can do that, but through hacks. If you want beautiful integration in open layers, it's available immediately. That's designed from the day one to non-Mercator. In a Mapbox, you can do that as well. We have like maptyler.com/coordinate systems is an example of how to do that with the open source code, where we have examples on, including the Swiss one, I believe. And it can be improved in the APIs as well on the MapLibre.
Sweet. So lots of platforms to build on. Anybody here is familiar with OpenStreetMap? Want to comment on the topic of connecting with OpenStreetMap's data? Let's see who else hasn't said hello yet. We've got Alexander. You were one of the first people to get lost in the mountains just before we started. Feel free to...
Yeah, hi everyone. I actually found the way back.
Yes.
Yeah, by the way, maybe OpenStreetMap is a topic I used to work a little bit on it. It was kind of a project to gather some data of different points of interest and also to aggregate them. So how many points of interest can you find in a certain specific area? And yeah, basically what my expectation of this week is just the experience. So I don't have anything in mind. I really like to join something interesting.
All right, those are great sentiments. And you know, when I'm thinking about OpenStreetMap, you know, and the we mentioned geocoding before, with Nominot mentioned being something that's quite popular in the open data community. How do you think like how do you see the two intersecting? Do you see like swisstopo just being a source for OpenStreetMap potentially to improve its data, or do you also see opportunities to combine like the different APIs of the different of the communities? Or are you thinking more of the OpenStreetMap editor, or something you'd like to build upon? Just wondering, how do you
That's actually a good question. I really come from one side of OpenStreetMap, so I kind of got to know this type of data, but I don't know the other part yet. And maybe this is also for me the opportunity to see what's out there and which possibilities are available now with this combination of data.
I have it on authority that there are no real legal or issues to now start combining the data sources, although that's probably a discussion we'll need to continue this week. But I think, I mean, technically, I've been involved, with a couple of projects which have been, pushing a lot of data into OpenStreetMap, and the challenge there of kind of just, doing technically high, not making mistakes, not overwriting other important information, and doing the attributions and everything properly is quite challenging. But I mean, but when you kind of look at it just as a scratch board, as a canvas, and being able to just add your something in your local neighborhood or something you encounter during a hike, and then being able to georeference it properly using Swiss authority data, and then just pushing it into the map, making that easy to use, that just as a step, just encouraging people to try it would be maybe an interesting idea. The Wikidata community, I don't know if we have any, I know we have a couple of folks that wanted to join us who are quite experienced with Wikidata. Just chime in if you're here. But they developed a series of apps which made it really easy to edit Wikipedia in that sense, that you were kind of asked a series of questions on a very simple user interface, and behind the scenes you were actually updating Wikipedia. You just didn't know it. You were making quality improvements. You were reviewing content just by, but it was asking you like just to verify information, maybe do a little bit of online research in the process. So, these kind of super simple ways of crowdsourcing geographic content would also be I think a compelling thing to work on, for sure. Anybody else on the call who wants to say hi before we all call it a Feierabend and head for the beer cabinet? It's only Monday, I know. Maybe Ralph? I know you've been blogging and tweeting and being one of the biggest supporters of this whole process. Do you want to share a few words?
The outside supporter. Thanks, Oleg.
Hey, Ralph.
Yeah, well, hi to everybody.
Hey. I'm
definitely interested in geodata and open data in general. And it's very exciting that swisstopo opens up their data, that Federal Council and Parliament made it happen, finally. Unfortunately, this week I don't have very much time on my hand, but I would very much like to sometimes check in, maybe help if I can help with some topics. But my expertise is mostly in data analysis and GIS, so less app development or web development. These are not my areas.
And Ralph, of course, you have to excuse me for thinking beer and then thinking you. But I do want to add.
Until now it was subtle, Oleg, but now it's very explicit.
Well, I mean, is this going to be a topic of an upcoming GeoBeer, do you think? And is there any way that we could kind of use these interactions this week to boost some of the discussions in the community?
Well, hopefully, yeah. I think, most of the community is quite active on social media, I think. Mm-hmm. I think that's a venue where you can hopefully communicate your results and maybe your insights, also what could be improved. So I definitely know some people who will listen there. We are going to have a GeoBeer on March 18. I think the focus is a bit different now because of Corona. So we basically decided for the very first time to make an international edition of GeoBeer because there's no spatial constraints. So we have guests from Austria, somebody from Austria giving a talk and somebody from the US giving a talk. But if something comes out of this hackathon that's very exciting, please feel free to contact the GeoBeer team. I'm just 1/3 of the team, so I can't make any promises, but I think if somebody wants to sort of spontaneously present something exciting, I think we would absolutely be open for that.
Yeah, thanks Corona for making the world feel much smaller than it already was, huh? No, but thank you, Ralph, for the invitation. That's that's definitely motivates us to try to get the feedback and the attention of this really great, really well established community that we're just building on the backs of here. Yeah. Anyone else? I'm sure there's so many familiar people here, and I don't know how busy you guys are. If you really want, maybe Patrick. Do you want to say hi? You haven't had a chance yet. Not sure your video is even working.
Yeah, I'm coming. Sorry.
Okay.
Can you see me? Hi. I'm just also responsible.
Can you speak a bit louder, please?
Sorry. Okay. The maybe I have to come to the middle so you hear me better.
Yeah.
I just saw number 39. This colorization of historic aerial images,
Yeah.
and I think maybe that would be interesting to work there. I'm not a big expert in deep learning or machine learning, but I would propose to use also historic maps to render the correct pixel color, for example. But I'm not sure if they are available already on the portal. Maybe the WMTS could help there. Not sure if the data are open there. The historic maps, Dufour, Siegfried, and all these. That I'm not sure. But I could, if there's activity there on number 39, I think I could help there.
All right. Who wants to work on automated colorization of historic image, on just together work of historic imagery? This is your chance now to get the ball rolling. And thanks, Patrick. That's exactly the kind of initiative I would want to hear. Is Magnus here?
Wasn't Balthasar?
Huh? Sorry?
I thought I heard Balthasar before speaking about this number 39.
Yeah, I don't think the author of the idea is here, but just comment. I would suggest comment on the discussion thread. Say you want to do this, and just schedule a time to meet. Just say what time would work for you, and feel free to use the gather space. We had a couple of comments from people that this is quite CPU intensive. You don't want to leave it running all day. I can understand that. I mean, it's like a video conferencing tool. So drop in and out. Schedule a meetup with your team members. We don't have like like a Slack or something set up. We can invite you to the cividi Slack if you're interested. Just ping me or Victoria, and we'll get you there. We have a channel where we've been covering this and organizing this whole event. So you're welcome to use that, as well as the team.opendata.ch Mattermost instance. You're very welcome to use. That's open access. But I'm sure every one of you have Signal, WhatsApp 3, Matrix, anything you want to use to connect with folks here. Let us know. I think just that one central area we've set up where you can kind of like claim your intention to develop a project. It's probably the easiest thing to just announce that to everybody. And all it takes is that kind of motivation that we just heard from Patrick to just say, yeah, I'm gonna try to make something of this challenge. So let's. Yeah. And did I miss anybody? I think everyone who's here had a chance to say hello. David, waving his hand. The most important person here. The floor is yours if you want it. I just wasn't sure if you were in a telephone call or something.
I was in a call, but I just want to add, if you have questions regarding any data set or the service or I mean, there even if you ask for a data set and ask yourself if this data set exists or not, just drop me a line. There are even ibex colonies, and we now have Swiss Army tanks routes on the map. We have everything on the map, so there's just not the data set which is not available now on the Federal Geo portal. So just drop a mail, ping me on GitHub, and I try to answer. And I would really like to have a cool geocoder. I want to replace our old Excel file. This idea Oleg set up in the discussion. Yes, that's it.
So,
happy coding.
So the wizard of code will grant any data wish. All he needs is a decent geocoder, and you know.
That's it. Yeah.
No, awesome. No, that's a fantastic invitation. I would love to kind of wrap up the opening on that note, and just say that it's it's a privilege to be here with you. I mean, it's a privilege to be living in a country which has such amazing not just cartography, but an institution that has been pursuing the open data vision for so many years, and championing people like myself to try things, experiment and learn, and build something better hopefully in the process. So very, very inspired, and yeah, I'll be seeing you here. I'll be walking around and hacking on this and that, and just please don't hesitate to keep talking to each other and bouncing ideas around. Social media, as Ralph mentioned before, is already quite busy with discussions. The GitHub discussion page, of course, and this Gather community. All right, so let's hit it. It's fire up in time. The beer cabinet is upright. Yeah, I'll be standing there.